Hi, everybody. It's Erica Galinas, Northwest Indiana's Golden Girl, coming to you from the Mike and Caddy team at Century 21 Affiliated. Here for our Ask the Agent segment this week. I wanted to talk about, I always want to talk about 100 different things, but this week what we're going to talk about is a question I hear all the time from a lot of people. How do I figure out what my home is worth? People, for, a lot of different reasons, don't necessarily just want to call a real estate agent and be like, what's my home worth? Because they're afraid the real estate agent is never going to leave them alone. And unfortunately, there are some real estate agents that do act exactly that way, and it's a huge bummer. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So there are two big ways that people try to figure out what their home is worth. One of them, we're going to talk about both of them. One's the big one, the Zesitmates, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But the two big ones that people often use is the first one is their real estate assessment value from the county. So Lake County, Porter County, Jasper County, depending on where you are, where you're watching this. There is a website that you can go to. I don't remember what it is offhand, but you can Google the Lake County, Indiana assessor or something like that. Type in your address and see what the county has your house assessed for. So the assessment is what the county has decided your house is worth, that they then use to tax you on. So if I'll just make up numbers, $200,000, they've decided what it's worth, and then the tax rate is X, and then you have this exemption and that exemption, times 0.01 mils, or, however they work it out for your county, then they give you your tax number. So the assessed value from the county is what they've decided your house is worth, so they can figure out what you're taxed on. I always pull, like when I'm pricing a house for somebody, I always pull the assessor's value of the home. I generally disregard the result of it. Their data is often wrong. I have seen just recently, I walked into a listing appointment, and the assessor had a 2-bedroom house. The person actually had a 3-bedroom house, which makes a pretty tremendous difference in terms of pricing your house. So a lot of times people don't fight that assessed value because, in my experience, 9 times out of 10, it's actually lower than what your house is actually worth, which is a bonus because that means your taxes are lower, and why would you call the assessor and be like, no, I really have 500 extra square finished feet? But that happens a lot. You finished a basement. You didn't think, to tell the county about it. They don't know about it. So they're giving you a 1,500 square foot home, and you actually have a 2,000 square foot home. Again, to your super advantage for tax purposes, but almost useless in terms of figuring out what your home is worth. I know that appraisers pay attention to that value, kind of. Certainly a real estate agent, anyone worth their salt, is not going to be paying attention to that number at all. So if you go to the assessor website to try to figure out what your house is worth, don't be surprised if it turns out to be completely wrong when you try to sell your house. Occasionally, it's valued more than what it's actually worth, and usually that's based on condition, because they assume that everybody's house is in, average condition. So, obviously, if you have, a wonderful house with granite countertops and, cathedral ceilings and fanciness, your value is going to be too low. But if your house is in need of some updating or it has major repairs, the value might actually be too high because it's not in average condition. There's a repair that needs to be made, or it's out of date or something like that. So, if you do go to the assessor website to try to find the value of your home, absolutely take it with a grain of salt. It can give you a general idea, but it's not really going to tell you very much because their information is usually completely wrong and out of date. So that's one way people try to figure out how much their house is worth. The information's out there if you're curious. I wouldn't necessarily depend on it to do any kind of decision making. So the second big way, and this is available to everybody. I mean, there's always little things that people can do or they can talk to. But here's the second big way that people do it is the Zillow Zestimate. Woo, the Zillow Zestimate. Real estate agents generally have a very poor opinion of Zillow Zestimates. Oftentimes what happens is that you have a seller, who wants to sell their house, and you show up and you have all these comps that you've looked at and, everything like that, and you say the house is worth X. And they're like, well, Zillow says it's worth Y. And there's, an $80,000 difference, and it can lead to issues with a home seller because Zillow is also mostly crap numbers. I mean, they're trying very hard, I think, to give people good numbers, but I think they're trying even harder to get traffic to their website. They're a business just like me or anybody else, so I understand what they're doing, but they're not necessarily giving you good data. So I wanted to read to you a little bit about the Zillow Zestimate that they have on their website. And you can go to their website. You've got to scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a little link that says Zesitmates. And then it goes to this page. It has an FAQ on there, and it talks about their Zestimates and how they compute things, and hooray for Zestimates. So they say, so this is from their definition. So the median error. So what they mean when they talk about that is, the actual sales price, what your home is worth in the open market is X, but they come up with Y. So that difference there is the median error in their price for your home. So, the nationwide median error rate for on-market homes is 1.9%. So again, stuff that's on the market, which is pretty easy to figure out what they're worth considering that they've just sold, so you get a really good idea of what it's for. Off-market homes, stuff that hasn't been listed, is a median error rate of 7.5%, which means that's a pretty big difference. So, if you're, $100,000 to make the math easy, your house is actually worth possibly as little as 92.5, compared on this median error. But again, it's median, so half will be higher, half will be lower, somewhere in there. It says that we can only calculate Zestimates for homes and regions where we have certain data, including historical transactions. Blah, 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 blah. And then they have like a spreadsheet thing where you can look, and within 5%, 20% of their values are within 5%. 20% are within 10%. 20% within 20%. So it's interesting that they have on here, for example, they have within 5% of sales price is one of the columns, within 10% of sales price is one of the columns, and within 20% of sales price is one of the columns, which means that, again, if your house sells for $100,000, they're, either going to tell you that it's worth $80,000 or it's worth $120,000, both of which are huge variances on, what your house is actually worth on the market. So what Zillow uses is reported sales, which, obviously those are going to be good because, we report them. However, none of those numbers are vetted. So I would never do this, but I could go in there and say, I sold this house for $1 million. Nobody's really checking. There's no guy at Zillow in a little, green hat thing kind of going through the numbers to make sure I'm telling the truth. I always do, of course, but I can't say that for everybody. And if nothing else, people make mistakes. They also use tax assessment data, which, as we just discussed, is stupidly not correct in most cases. But they do have in their estimate section, regions, so by states, by metropolitan regions, their median error rate for these different areas. So I looked at the one for Indiana, and guess what it has? It doesn't have 5, it doesn't have 20, it doesn't have 30, it has little dashes, which means they have no reportable data for Zestimates for the state of Indiana. They don't have, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they just don't like Indiana, they don't care, or something like that, but instead of giving us a percentage of what our median error rate for Zestimates are in the state of Indiana, their number's 0. They're like, we're guessing, I guess. I'm not even sure what the little lines mean. It's not here on their website to tell us what it means. So for the state of Indiana, Zestimates are completely useless. I very much understand the desire to want to know how much your house is. Duh. Anybody wants to know how much their house is worth because, we paid off the mortgage for 5 years and the market's changing and there's new construction. What are we worth? Blah, blah, blah. And I also understand that you might be hesitant to call a real estate agent to find out how much your home is worth because you're not planning on selling it. I totally understand that. You can pay for an appraisal. You can call an appraiser in town or pick up the phone. Well, nobody uses the phone book anymore, but you can pick up the phone book and call an appraiser and be like, I want to get an appraisal. It'd be like $300 or $400. They'll come out and appraise your house using comps from the MLS and give you an idea of what your house is worth. But I will tell you this. Your best bet to know exactly what's going on with the value of your house is to call a real estate agent. For example, you could call me. And I understand that you wouldn't necessarily want to waste anybody's time, but most agents do not view that as a waste of time. There's, business reasons why. I mean, if I do a good job just giving you a value and keeping you updated, you may refer me to family and friends. There is nothing more valuable to an agent than a referral to family and friends. That is wonderful for us, and we're usually very happy to do a market analysis for a property just for that reason alone. You may find that, well, heck, my house is worth actually a lot more than I thought it was, and we were hoping to move, a little bit south of here, because there's all this traffic here now, so maybe I will sell my house. That agent can also help you sell your house, and you'll have an advantage because they will already have had a chance to take a look at it and give you an idea what's going on and getting you ready for, updating or just move out, as is price, stuff like that. Please do not hesitate to contact a real estate agent to find out how much your house is worth. You are not wasting anybody's time. It's literally our jobs. We are happy to help you do that. I know some of you are afraid to get, in the hooks of an agent who just never leaves you alone ever again. I personally am not like that. If you call me and ask for a market analysis, absolutely, I'll get it for you. I'll probably send you another, like market updates, periodically once every 90 days, maybe twice a year, send you like a more formal market analysis about your house. But we have access to the information, and it's the same information that the appraiser uses, so there's really no reason to be paying $300 or $400 for an appraisal when you can get that from an agent. If you run into an agent who won't leave you alone, who, I'm on a market analysis, and, what I'll do is prepare it for them, and then I'll give you a call in like a week and be like, hey, what'd you think? Do you have any questions? Okay, cool. Some agents then go further, and they start calling you on a weekly basis, stopping by your door, dropping off donuts, although that'd be kind of awesome. But, they will not leave you alone. If you run into an agent like that, pick up the phone, send them a text or an email that says, do not contact me ever again. You have every right to ask for that. There are 100 agents in your town that will not do that to you. So if that is what you're worried about in terms of becoming involved with an agent, please don't worry. A, you can always call me, because I don't do that. But B, there are tons of agents out there. You can, just ask one, and if they're weird, go ask somebody else. Just be like, LOL, don't want to talk to you anymore, and just call somebody else. Again, we're happy to provide the service. It's literally part of our jobs. And certainly most agents are going to be, not going to pester you, I guess, basically, for lack of a better word. So that's kind of, I know, like I said, it's one of the big questions that we all have. I mean, myself included. I can find out because I'm an agent, but everybody, what's my house worth? Maybe if it's worth $50,000, I can move. Or, how close am I to how much my mortgage have I paid off? And if I sell it, how much is left over, et cetera, et cetera. Your friendly neighborhood real estate agent will absolutely be happy to provide those to you. But I encourage you, do not pay any attention to the tax assessor value, because they're generally wrong and it will tell you nothing. And I would hate for you to be misled about what your house is worth. And do not use Zillow's estimates. In the state of Indiana, they have zero data. They are not particularly interested in helping you find out what your house is worth. What they want is to drive traffic to their website. That is one of the things they figured out. Everybody wants to know what their house is worth. Maybe if we can just give them some numbers, that are close, it'll, be happy, and then they'll come to our website and look at our advertisers. It'll be fantastic. Do not rely on estimates. Call me, text me, 219-765-2062. Happy to give you a market analysis, keep you updated as we go along. I will not pester you all the time. Send me an email. HS by Erica stands for Home Sales by Erica. So HSBYERICA@gmail.com. Comment down below. You can always send me a direct message. I don't know if you want to plaster it all over, Facebook or YouTube that you're looking for home value, but you can always send me a direct message on Facebook at my page, Home Sales by Erica. That's it. Like I said, there's no reason to sit around and wonder, and there's no reason to be afraid of real estate agents because, again, we're happy to help you. You are not wasting our time, and we are not going to bother you the way you think we are. So thank you so much. I hope this answered some of your questions, and like I said, I'm happy to hear from you. Give me a call. Thanks. Bye-bye.